Okay. Very good. Captain and Maybelle.
Yes, sir.
The grossest act in America, according to some people.
Absolutely. Well, that means that we set out to do a job and we accomplished it, because what we do is shock America, and part of the message we said last night is we teach people to think outside the box, because mainstream America does it and says it's right or wrong. We're not telling you to run out and do what we do. We're telling you, you know what, don't listen to everybody else and what they say until you have tried it yourself and you know
Right.
for a fact that's.
How do you even practice some of this stuff? I mean, when you say I'm going to hang stuff out of my eyelids, how do you practice that for the first time?
There's definitely a lot of body conditioning to do what I do. I have to stay healthy. I have to, build up my immunity to a lot of things. I mean, I introduce a lot of foreign substances into my body through sword swallowing. A lot of things I do. If the average person tried it, their body reacts accordingly. And many things that I do, I just push the limits and push the limits until I can see. And that's really what's got me where I am, is learning to push my own personal limits.
And is the plan to just keep pushing and pushing and pushing until Maybelle becomes a widow?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. She's got great insurance on me for an obvious reason, but past that, that's never the plan. Hopefully when I go in, I'm always putting my life on the line when I do what I do. And there is always that risk, but there's that risk when we get in a car and we drive on the interstate. There are always times that we do. And I just want to continue being as professional as possible.
Your act is obviously very sensational. It's great. It's great television. That being said, you couldn't possibly come here thinking you were going to win.
Well, and you know what? When we're sitting in that tent with all the other groups that are there, there was incredible talent all around us, and we're comparing apples to oranges,
Well, what I mean is when the judges all turn around and can't look at you this early in the competition, you have to kind of know that eventually they're going to.
Yeah, we never expected it to take it all the way. You always have that hope and that dream that possibly could, but reality is that it's not necessarily for mainstream America. But we are able to put our face out there for the people that it is for, and we got a lot of viewers.
Right. So what are we missing out on? Now that they're sending you home, what would have happened next? Where do you go from there?
Well, we don't want to say a whole lot because there's still the wild card round.
Right.
But we were actually going to take it out of our home and onto the Midway and do a lot of classic, traditional, old school sideshow, which is where our true passion and love is. Unfortunately, we do a 90-second bit here.
Yeah, it's hard.
And our show involves a lot of build-up before the stunt, of getting the person on the edge of their seat before the stunt is ever done. And, and that's why we really tried to portray to them us as characters, so they could understand us as characters so we could go forward. And, at 90-second intervals, it's really hard to put our show out there.
As long as we're here chit-chatting, can you tell us about the love story here?
I think you can handle that one.
We've been married for 7 years, together for much longer than that, and I knew when I saw this man that he's the most handsome man that I've ever laid eyes on, and we just had this chemistry. We have fun together. He's my best friend.
When you met, were you doing this kind of thing? I mean, did you have things hanging out of your eyeballs when
not to
she
this
met
degree?
you?
Not to this degree. I always knew from the time, even before we were together as a couple, that he'd always been very fascinated with sideshow, with circus. Every time the circus came through town, we had front row seats. He made sure we were there. So I knew that he had a passion for it and a love for it. Eventually, he honestly told me one day, I'm going to try this. And I thought he was crazy. And literally, as I was eating dinner, he took a sword and put it down his throat. And every night he would do that, 5 to 10 times a night, just like if I gave you a sword. And that was literally every night. We practiced this, and it started with sword swallowing, and over the years we branched out into different physical feats, different physical stunts. I pushed my limits. I figured out things that I have a knack for and a talent for. I probably wouldn't have discovered this if it hadn't been for his encouragement. But honestly, I love doing it. I love performing.
That is the most
him.
romantic thing I've ever heard in my life.
To disgustingly beautiful.
And finally, the obvious question: how many times a week do you get mistaken for Jesse James?
Well, you know what? It's very, very funny that you asked that because it wasn't too long ago. I didn't have slick back hair. I had a very long goatee and so forth, and
That was
I
lost
never
in a power
ever heard
drill
that.
accident gone wrong.
Yeah, and you know, in our industry, I've been in the tattooing industry for almost 17 years now. I'm a professional body piercer. A lot of the old schoolers, slick back hair and so forth. Unfortunately, we're talking mainstream people here, and who's the only person they know with slick back hair and tattoos is instantly Jesse James.
But
So
you don't cheat on your wife.
that is very true.
So did you have a rough time when he was going through that whole personal issue?
Not necessarily, because you know most of the people that we associate with knew us both ways beforehand. So.
That's funny. All right, well, thank you guys very much. Maybe we'll see you for the wild card.
You never know.
And if not, we'll keep our eyes open for you.
Either way, you haven't seen the last of us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.